Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new season of The Green Room with me, David Green. And joining me today, I have the one and only Joe Compton. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. And making the debut on The Green Room, well, Joe is also, but Joe is always behind the scenes usually, is also Joshua Pantalleresco. I hope I said your name correctly.
You did. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm here to have a good time. So we're going to see how this all plays out.
Excellent. As well as this is the point of this one. While it's the first one of the series, we're going to do it slightly differently. Usually with the green room, it's the thing that I hate the most that people talk about, which I agree with. That they hate, and I also hate, gets consigned to the green room. But this time, it's going to be we're going to bask in the positivity for once, kind of. And we're going to see what thing is the most joyful and entertaining thing is going to be the winner of each round. But of course, people that are watching and commenting, Anita is here already. Hello, Anita. Hi, Maddie. This is going to be good. Hi, Nikki.
Hello. Hi, Nikki.
Facebook user. I agree. Yes, hi, guys. So, let us know what you think about all the topics that we're going to be talking through, what everyone's going to be talking about. And also, if you can send us a star to let our hosts and producers know how much you appreciate what we do here at Go Indie Now, please do. Every time you contribute, you get entered into our prize, a season prize package drawing, gift cards, swag, and more. I'd like to know what the more is. Sounds exciting. So before we start, why don't you both tell us a little bit about yourselves? We'll start with Joe, because no one will have heard of you on the Go Indie Now network. So,
Hi, everybody. First time user, long time fan. Hi, I'm Joe Compton. Obviously, I'm a big fixture on this network because it's mine. But I am beyond that. Believe it or not, I do write stuff and make stuff, and beyond Go Indie Now, which is I've written a couple books. So I'm an indie author. I also have made some films, so I'm an indie filmmaker, and I plan on doing both again real soon. Not a whole lot of what I've done is out there. You can find it, but I lost my publisher a while ago, so I haven't been able to get it back together and put everything back out there. But it'll be eventually happening soon. I would like to finish the third book of that series, the Duality of Truth series. But anyway, see, I'm already rambling. So that's me, Joe Compton.
Thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Joshua, how about you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joshua Pantalleresco. If you know me, I do a podcast called Just Joshing, which has just broken 1,000 episodes. I am also an author and a freelancer. I do everything from making videos. I have a series debuting next week for a client called Healing Hands. It's a massage therapy education show. I've also do comic books. I draw. I've actually gotten my first commission done, which is kind of cool. And as you can tell, I have an incredibly big mouth. I'm good at it, and it even gets me an award. I think that's good. That's pretty succinct.
Yes, very succinct. So we might as well go straight into the first round of topics. Topic one. There we go. But Maddie also says before we do, Madeline Dale, writing occurs between shows running on coffee fuel. And Maddie would know. See, she does a lot of hosting shows of her own. So let's go on with the first topic. And I am told that the coin has spoken and Josh is going first. So take it away.
That's right, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. We need ego in this business. And it's something when I first say that, a lot of people will go, "Ugh, ego, what do you mean?" Well, we go out there and we have our real product, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic, whether it's a show, is ourselves. And it takes a certain degree of confidence and self-belief to go out there and saying, here I am, I'm awesome. And it takes a little bit of ego to do it. And there's a really healthy balance of ego and self-belief in your work. And it's something I've interviewed legitimately thousands. I said that. Like 1,000 people on my show. And one of the biggest things I know authors, a lot of creatives struggle with is their self-worth. And to turn what they do into a business, it requires a little bit of ego and a little bit of self-belief to do so.
All right. Ego and self-belief in balance is a good thing, I think, is what it is. It's a good topic. But Joe, what do you think about this one?
I agree. I think you have to, in order to perpetuate to the next phase, to be something that somebody would recognize, or you have to believe in that in yourself to begin with. And so I think that there's a certain amount of ego that has to go along with, putting that out there, and pushing that forward. And I think if you do that, I think then you're on your way to kind of blossoming a little bit, and I think that helps a lot in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, a balance of ego is something that I would like to have, because not to say that I'm an egomaniac, I have very little ego when it comes to my things, and I wish that I had a little bit more. I'm one of these people that are kind of like, I talk to other writers and they're like, "Oh, I'm writing something at the moment and it's amazing." And I'm like, "Really? Mine's awful." Right.
So
That's my process. So we obviously, Josh, you talked to a lot of people on the podcast. So congratulations on the 1,000 episodes. So where would you say is where is the balance? Where is the line where it can be like a little bit too much? Is there such thing as too much ego?
Okay, so I think there's two parts to it. There's ego in going for what you're worth. And I do think you have to. I truly believe that you can truly get what you want financially, creatively. A lot of people, authors, will listen to that and say, "No, you can't say." No, it's not true. There are authors that do it all the time. So I think honestly, in terms of that aspect of things, I think it's knowing when to utilize your ego. When I started freelancing, one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first year was I was more concerned about screwing up than I was about actually doing a good job. It's only when I shift, it's like, I'm going to make this work. I have the confidence in my ability to go out there and say, here I am, here's what I'm worth. When I made that shift, I started making more money. And so I think in that particular, when it comes to your self-worth, your ego is actually very healthy for you right there. It can protect you against people that want to take advantage of you, but also it lets you, it pushes you forward. I think in that regard, I think it can be an incredibly healthy thing. Where I think where you need to check your ego, this is where it can get very dangerous, is how you treat other people. Right. And that's where I think humility, like a lot of people talk about, like a lot of really successful authors talk about humility. And what they mean is, look, you get to whatever position you get into by working very hard and that belief in yourself. Yes. But there's other people going for the same thing you are. And no matter how far you go on this journey, I'm still the same guy, right? I'm still the same guy I was before we came on. I just have a slightly bigger head and a slightly bigger mouth, and maybe going down this path than I did prior to it. But that all said, I say it like that because you have to have that confidence. You have to understand like that, like you need to have ego, equating ego to your confidence. You need to have it, especially going for stuff. But in terms of how you treat people, that's when you can be like, okay, I can be chill. I don't need to be the biggest guy in the room. I don't need to drown you. It's like, I'm awesome all the time. No one wants that. but when I'm like, let's say I'm working for you, right? I'm going to try to get the most I can, and because it makes sense. It's a business, right? And I should be that way. And you're trying to get the best you can. And where we meet in the middle is where we make a deal. And I think that's a very good, healthy way of utilizing that.
Yeah. The self-worth is, I mean, especially in this kind of like creative industry, especially when you're looking at kind of writing, you get a lot of people that I see a lot of very, very good editors that charge way too little than what they're worth because, just to get work, basically, because there is this kind of thing where there's a misconception about what a good editor actually is. So, so a lot of them are like, well, I'll charge you $150 to do 100,000 words. And it's like, that's very, very cheap. Like, know what your own worth is, and it happens all the time. It's kind of sad. But it seems like that a lot of people agree with you in the comments. Also disagree with me, which is good. Nikki, knowing your worth is essential in all things. If you think you need egos published to think this is worth reading, otherwise your book would just sit in the drawer. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. And yes, clearly. And everyone's agreeing with one another except for me. People are disagreeing with me and agreeing with everyone else, which is not what I signed up for this show. Let me tell you. Okay, that's a really great open topic for the new season. Thanks very much, Josh. Joe, it's your turn.
Okay, so my first topic is kind of piggybacking a little bit off of ego a little bit, but in a different way. I would love to abolish the term necessary evils. And here's why. I think necessary evils have a place in lexicon and they're good for attainable aspects of what we do and who we are as artists. But I think ultimately, as you get into this business and you start to do the things you do, you start to realize you don't need them as much as you think you do. I think that people look at it as the pinnacle or the design of where they need to be, what they need to do, and they have to do these things to do them. And that's not necessarily true. There's so many ways to do what we do and how we do it, and to be successful at how we do it. Josh is a great example of that, actually. And Josh, as he said, he's done 1,000 episodes of his podcast. He's done it his way. He's always done it his way. It's one of the things I really, really respect about Josh. And so for me, I think that necessary evils doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to exist for you to have goals, to obtain ideas, and to push forward. I think that a lot of times people use that as a crutch as well. Oh, I have to do this thing because it's a necessary evil. You really don't. You can skip it and still be successful. You can find a different way to do it. You can find a way to do it that's fun for you. And I think that if you approach it with that idea, and just let yourself, come through, you're going to find the way to do it without having to compromise too much. Now, you have to compromise in some regard, but I think that you don't have to compromise where it's a necessary evil.
That's an interesting one because one of the things that you'd think would be a necessary evil from a lot of people's point of view is working with Amazon, right? But then there's a lot of people that just skip them, and like increasingly so these days, particularly in indie horror, because this Amazon are so kind of they're cracking down on a lot of like content and covers and all that kind of stuff. So you get a lot of people that just on kind of more spicier kind of books are bypassing Amazon completely, and they're just finding a different way and being successful by selling just through like using PayHip through the websites or going on to different kind of different distributors. So it's definitely the option is there. Like I'm sure it's down to what you define as a necessary evil, I suppose, as well.
Sure.
What would you define as a necessary evil in the business, Josh? Or are there any?
Uh-oh, I think he's frozen.
I've given him such a stumper of a question. He's frozen.
We see your lips moving. We don't hear you. There's comments, so you want to go through the comments while he's figuring it out?
Yeah, let's have a look at the comments, and we can keep chatting about this one. So, yes, be a rebel, says Anita. You won't need published. You don't need egos published, but confidence. Yeah, confidence is really important, isn't it? It's kind of does get confused with ego, doesn't it? I suppose. Inspirational, yes. Thank you. Yes, I am. Life just get much more easier when you're out of focus.
See, this is why I want people like Nikki to do this show and not me. She kind of succinctly described it better than I could have ever.
Yes, the word kill is now problematic, which is problematic that is true. Many authors are going direct and not depend solely on Amazon. Yeah. And frozen YouTube is a necessary evil. It's evil. Not about necessary. We may have Josh back.
No, I can't hear you. Jump back out and go back in, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll still be here. So, I mean, what kind of things do you kind of hear a lot about when people say like necessary evils? What other than
Amazon is a really great example of that. I think. I also think that people look at like certain social media sites as necessary evils, right? And so, I have to be on there because I'm an author, and that's where all the authors are, and all of that, and I don't think that's necessarily the case either. There's Josh. No, don't hear you still. Now you're totally frozen again. So see the
Maestro's evil is Facebook. Yeah, that'd be. I don't know what would be a necessary. What would I see? I'm one of these people that's kind of like I really dislike the term guilty pleasure. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty about liking something that's like, unless it's something that's completely abhorrent and evil.
I think necessary evil falls under that category for me as well. I'm with you on that, and I think the term evil is the most misnomer of it, right? I think that it doesn't have to be labeled that, something you may not like to do that you have to do, but I don't necessarily consider it evil if you're doing it, right? So
yeah, of course, yeah. Because you're not evil for using Twitter.
Can't hear you. See you waving, but can't hear you.
Just start holding up signs to the thing. Elon Musk is probably evil, but Twitter itself isn't evil.
Yes.
Some of the users that are on it are probably evil, but
the idea is authors are smart enough to get off of it. I've seen so many authors say, "I'm done with it." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you get into this business and you learn, there's things you can go without. You don't need to do it all. You can do certain things that you like and love. That's part of the reason why we do it,
Yeah. And you said it right there about compromising and what people's ideals are. It's kind of like I know some people that will never work with traditional publishers because they feel like it's a compromise too much for where they have to give up a certain amount of control over the stuff.
Yeah.
There's people that won't use Amazon, won't use Apple, won't use certain things. It depends on what your ideals are, Dean. I think you're right when you say that. There's nothing is particularly evil in itself. It's how you use it, I suppose, and how do you need to use these things? If you can get by without using it, then why not? If you don't want to do it, good topic. We can have a look at some of the. Still no. We can have a look at some of the comments. Have you tried turning your computer off and turning it back on again to go into the IT crowd from the UK? He's going to try it. He's going to do it. Let's have a look at some of these comments that we got. So
so did we do that one? I think we did that one.
We did, yeah. Life is the necessary evil. keeps me from writing too much, but I can't write without it. You do need life to write. That is true.
I now know who this is. I think this is Rebecca. I haven't been able to go over to Facebook because I'm online. I'm on the show right now. So, but this sounds like Rebecca. So,
Joe wins according to Nikki. I think Joe wins by a technical knockout. I think as well.
Well, we should go on to this topic too, since I'm starting anyway. Maybe
That's right. That's correct.
And then Josh can. Hopefully, Josh is here's Josh. Let's see if this worked for him. No, I don't hear you still.
Oh, no. Trying to lip read him. I think he's saying something like,
"Damn,
buy all of my books and listen to my podcast." I think he's saying.
It's ironic and funny. I'll say this for the audience. I had no idea that David and Josh had never met each other, and so this is the first impression Josh is giving of David.
That's all right.
It's not his fault though.
This is it. It's the internet. We'll blame the internet. But well, technical knockout. That's true.
Yeah, just keep trying to work on it, Josh. I'll pontificate a little bit on my second
yes,
topic.
We'll go to topic 2, and Josh may figure it all out while we're doing it. So take it away, Joe.
Oh, I think I heard him a little bit. Did I hear him? No. That was me wishing, I guess. All right. So my second topic is one that's near and dear to my heart that I've spoken about several times before, and I think that it needs reminding every single day. And I do this a lot on my Facebook page and on my social media, and that is, I really implore you all to forgive yourselves. Really look at the idea of that it's okay. You didn't reach your goal today. It's okay. You did something. Even if you did nothing, hey, you needed that day off. Forgive yourself. Let yourself go. Don't be so hard on yourself. We as artists are the hardest we can be on ourselves, beyond anything anybody could ever say to us or do to us. We will always internalize, and that is the worst enemy of an artist, is that idea and that thought, right? And so I think for the most part, it's such an isolated, lonely idea to be an artist who's in their own head doing, putting stuff out there and then putting it out there and hoping that somebody responds to it or enjoys it or any of that. I think that for that purpose, forgiving yourself is so important, because you really have to just know that you're doing something amazing. You are amazing. You're here. You're now. Do you know the odds of being born are? It's 1 in 64 billionth percentile. You are an anomaly already. You just being here is the most important thing that's ever happened in the existence of mankind. And so knowing that and understanding that, you should relish in the idea that you're still here and you're still doing what you're doing and how you're doing it, and being able to do something that, yeah, you know what? There's 4 million books out on Amazon right now, but you're one of those 4 million of billions of people who have ever existed on any plane and any existence, right? So you've done it, right? If you make art, if you make film, if you make a child, if you make pictures, if you take photographs, if you write a blog, if you write anything, if you write a Facebook post that has meaning and thought behind it. I mean, even if you post a picture of your cat, you've done something amazing on this day. And I think that is so, so important and so vital to breathing and existing and knowing that you're going to be okay. it's going to be all right. Okay. So trust me when I say that, and believe me, I have as many bad days as anybody out there, and it takes a lot in me sometimes to find that. And so I think that you just have to persevere, and in doing so, forgiving yourself is a huge part of that.
Very,
Hi.
very inspiring,
Can you hear me?
motivating.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
okay.
Double clause for celebration. But that was great. What I did, especially it's that one kind of hits me a little bit because I'm one of those people that's like, or was. It's like I've not done this today. I only wrote 2,000 words. It's a disaster, or whatever. Until recently,
David, that's 100, and that's 1,999 more words than I wrote today. So.
Well, I've recently, after pushing myself beyond burnout, I've actually started taking breaks. I was like, this is quite nice, actually. But then I started having a thing where it's like I'm having too many breaks. This is not right, you know. So yeah, it's a really that's a good one. We're all anonymous. I can't say that word actually. I just realized I cannot say the word yeah, I can't say it. I don't think I've ever tried to say it out loud in my life, which means I can't read some of the comments that we're getting. But that's good. I mean, you know, it's that fine balance, isn't it, between drive and also recognizing when you need to actually recharge the batteries as well. And you know, we live in such like a fast-paced and such a competitive kind of cycle of things, that there is that pressure where it's like if you don't have this done yesterday, then you know you've missed out. And it's kind of just trying to find your own rhythm and that you're comfortable with, that you're able to do your best work and you're able to actually have not have like massive anxiety crashes and massive stress from it all. It is supposed to be something that we're supposed to be having fun with. What do you think about this one, Josh? I mean, is it something? Do you practice forgiveness for missing goals? Or
I'm crossing my fingers. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Right. So okay, so it's a tricky balance because you have to. There's the discipline of doing the work. And I think we all have to keep in the habit of that on some level because it is part of what we do. However, and this is the part where I think where Joe's dead on, we're our worst critics, like absolutely our worst critics. I have very often, even just interviewing like authors, they'll beat themselves up over like things that are beyond our control sometimes too, right? Life gets in the way. Life is very, unfair. It's random. Heck, just look at this episode. I mean, the technology cut off and I'm actually scared I might do it again, but it's not my fault. So I'm under no control of that, but it happened the way it did. The reality of the situation is like all we can do at the end of the day is the best we can. Sometimes that's 3,000 words. Sometimes that's 100. Really, that's what matters, that you go forward. That's it, right? The rest of it kind of takes care of itself. That's all you can do at the end of the day. And if we have that built into ourselves, like, look, did I do my best today? Then really, what else is there? What else can we say? My dad said this a long time ago when I was a kid. Son, I don't really care if you get straight A's. I care that you do your best. That's it. The effort counts more so than we give ourselves credit for. And the effort doesn't look the same every day. It never will. So, we don't, and it doesn't need to. And that's something that, well, once we realize that, it's wonderful. It's not as pressure bound. Good disciplines. I mean, there's a fine line between taking a day off and just being getting lazy, because it's really, again, we are creatures of momentum. We do have a tendency to keep going down a path, right, if we're not careful. But yeah, I mean, take days off, live, enjoy life, play Nerf archery. It's fun. Eat ice cream. Hit on people you love, right? So, or maybe try to love. I have fun. Life's too short. Way too short.
What is this E word you've mentioned? Enjoy. I remember that word. I remember it from back in the day. Speaking of anomalies, I've just learned how to say anomaly. I just got an email from Madeline Dale saying it's basically fall, y'all, and she's here as well. She's here in the comments. She's attacking from all angles. So before we get into Josh's topic, let's have a look at these comments to see what people are. So yeah, adapt and mutate. I think she's talking about you, Josh. I think in general, living is exhausting. Yes, you know what I really wish when I was a kid, that if someone just said to me, like, when you're a kid and you're in school and people are like, these are the best days of your life, enjoy them and all this kind of stuff, and you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. I wish that someone said, enjoy them, because adulthood is just basically being tired for the entire time. Like, it's just, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's so Rona would say, that's okay. Pretty Pastel Spiral sounds great. Nikki wrote a book series called The Spiral. Actually, the series is called something else, so I specialize that. Yes. And treat your art like a job. Yeah, you are the boss. Yes, there is that balance that is needed there. And you got to sign off for a bad day and put your account. Yeah, give yourself permission to do it. I give you permission to do it, and so does Joe. So does Josh. Officially we have spoken. Okay, Josh, you'll set this up.
You don't need our permission, folks. Just do it. Okay, so tying up what kind of Joe was talking about earlier about necessary evils, one of the things that I've been fascinated with is Kickstarter in terms of as a vehicle for indie authors, actually authors, period. It's a unique audience. It's an insane amount of workload sometimes, but there's a lot of cool books there. There's a lot of cool projects there. Very quietly, Kickstarter has become one of the largest publishers of materials out there. And it's something I think that when we look at in terms of what an author can do to get their voice out there, it's a vehicle I still feel is largely untapped. And that's my topic for number 2.
I love how succinct Josh is too. Josh is just right there.
Kickstarter. Yeah, Kickstarter. I've got lots of friends that have recently done very, very successful Kickstarters, and it's amazing to see it. I was watching a friend of mine launched her first Kickstarter the other day, and she did a live feed on Instagram when she hit the publish button when it came on, and it was funded in 4 minutes, which was amazing. And it was just really exciting to watch it, because it was just all these people going, I've just backed it, I've come on and talk about it. And it's it's a really nice, that's the thing, isn't it? It's crowd funded. So it's like a community, when everyone's kind of chipping in, they're all involved in it. Do you back a lot of Kickstarters yourself, Josh?
Yes, I do. A lot of my guests for the last few hundred episodes have been comic book creators. Comics and Kickstarter the industry has embraced Kickstarter far more than the writing industry has. So it's been a crash course in some ways of how to actually market to some degree too. It's a learning experience watching another medium play, but also I just look at it and realize that we're talking about necessary evils. It's really what it really comes down to is mine comes down to the fact it's okay, a lot of us are worried about being these towering bestsellers. Are we going to get so many millions of people or tens of thousands of people? You don't need to. You just can get a very small group of people that are dedicated to you, and that is very possible. And Kickstarter is a community that does that.
Mm-hmm. And it works as well. And let's say there's a lot of different things you can do on it. My D&D group after they stopped playing D&D because of all the Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro kind of stuff for the licenses at the start of the year. We played the One Ring tabletop game and Dragonbane, which are both free league, that are both kickstarted. And we were able to get Dragonbane early because we kickstarted it, so we were able to get it early. And all the kind of, we get to see all the expansions early and all this kind of stuff, and you kind of and it's great to kind of get that email into your inbox where it's like, look what we've got to show you that's coming up next, and it gets this, like you're kind of like an insider, you've seen it before anyone else does, and it's great because when you get the thing for the bats, you want to show people it and talk about it straight away, so it works as a great tool of promotion. Do you do anything on Kickstarter, Joe?
I don't do any Kickstarter. I will eventually. I think it's an amazing platform, and I guess I will reveal here as an exclusive that I secretly sponsor, and I have a fund of my own bank account that I use specifically to sponsor indie Kickstarters.
Very nice.
So I do contribute to them. This also goes along with one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is never doubt that a group of small concerned citizens can change the world, because it's the only thing that ever has. That's what Josh was saying.
Yeah.
That you don't need billions of people,
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great that it's kind of going from strength to strength, and it's an interesting one as well, because there's a lot of groups. So if anyone's kind of watching and they're kind of interested in it, I know Anita's saying that she's kind of had a chat about it in a recent interview and stuff. There's some great groups on Facebook to kind of teach you about like how to best practice to launch things on there and what you should do before launching and getting all the things worked out. And what's great about these groups is that everyone just wants everyone else to succeed on them, which is nice.
No, it's very community based. The other thing that's really interesting, and I'm going to spill some beans here. I was at San Diego Comic-Con. I was drinking with an author and his agent. Traditional publishing is also very strongly looking at Kickstarter too. Mm-hmm. It has changed the game in a lot of ways, and I think that people do need to be. If you're an indie author, yes, but even beyond, like. For indie authors, it's definitely an anthology basis, but I would like traditional publishers and agents are very strongly looking at it, and it's something that I think if you're an author today, it's not an audience to ignore. And that's all
Yeah, it's a good tool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, anything that's innovative and brings people kind of together and gives more ownership over stuff is always good in my book. Okay, people watching, let us know your thoughts on that second topic. It was kind of chaotic for a little while, but we're there. We're back. We're doing well, and we're going to move into topic 3, and that is going to be Josh. You are going to go with your final.
Well, keeping on the community theme, I'm on Twitch, and I think it's another one of those underutilized things. I'm on Twitch, but I think one of the things about doing the show on Twitch, I love how passionate those communities are, and this is not just a comment on the platform, but on the fan bases. In that, I look at games, like we were talking a little bit about board games earlier in the last topic, but how passionate the fan bases are. I think like the way I'm looking at this is how to utilize a platform like Twitch to create a passionate fan base for you, because there are people that like legitimately dress up and play these games and do it for hours and just talk on the community. And I think that's an amazing tool. Like I said, I have enjoyed my time on Twitch. So my third topic is the impact that absolutely. Like they are some of the best people. And that's why I'm there. That's why I took my podcast there for the longest time, is there's no community like it. And I think it's, again, one of those things that if I'm an author, I'm looking at trying to reach out to people. That's a great place to go.
Yeah, so Twitch is something that I kind of dallied with for a while. I used to play not as much as I used to now. I'd like to play more, but just busy with other things. But I used to be really into gaming, especially on Xbox, and Twitch was integrated on Xbox for I don't know if it still is, probably is, but it was
Steam, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, we used to. I used to do a game. I used to do a gaming podcast with a couple of mates, and we used to particularly we used to do. We used to play Dark Souls because we were all terrible at it, and we used to get drunk and play Dark Souls.
Like one of the evilest games of all time. Jeez.
Yeah, and we used to get drunk and we'd take turns on a go to see how long we could go without dying on Dark Souls whilst drunk. And we used to call the thing "Prepare to Cry" because and we used to get loads of people just coming to watch us, just laughing at us, just how bad we were at this game. And it was good fun. So what kind of things can you? Because obviously you were talking about like having your podcast on there and kind of looking at it from like an artist's point of view. What other things are happening on Twitch these days?
I think the big thing is the community. Like what Joe's got here, like in terms of people commenting. I am genuinely amazed. Like I've gone on other communities beyond my own. I am genuinely amazed how passionate that fan base is. I think in terms, a lot of what we're looking for as creatives is community and connection. And I really do not know of another place that's like Twitch, because you literally see it everywhere. Sometimes they're big communities, sometimes they're big communities, sometimes they're small communities. But they are some of the most passionate you'll ever see. And the platform, like in terms of the technology of the platform, there are some, as Anita pointed out, some quirks with the platform, but the people are amazing. Like honestly, I those are the fans I'd love to cater to.
And do you do anything with Twitch, Joe? Is Go Indie now going to be on Twitch?
Yeah, it's been on Twitch. I used to really right around when Josh was beginning there, or maybe a little bit before, a little bit after. I'm not quite sure timeline wise. I mean, we've been doing this for a while, Josh, but as far as Twitch goes, I really was trying to push Go Indie Now there, and it kind of actually derailed me a little bit. I've talked about this before, where I kind of was spreading myself too thin with trying to do all of the platforms, and I really think that you, as a content creator, you have to select one and let it ride a little bit in a lot of respects. But I will say it's something about Twitch. I do. Anita actually said it perfectly, what she said, and that's how I feel as well. But I have recently, because I've been involved with the Multiverse convention quite a bit lately, and they're all on Discord, and so I've kind of migrated to Discord a little bit. And I think that if I was to go to another platform, Twitch would not be it. I think it would be Discord, because I think what Twitch is doing and add it and go to Discord, which is what Discord has done. They've taken the really great parts of Twitch and kind of incorporated into what they do. It is a little bit more communal in Discord than it is in Twitch, where Twitch is more of like a broadcasting network, and it's a good one for a lot of things. Like there are certain things on Twitch that cannot be matched on YouTube, on anywhere. Like gaming, like you were saying, David, Twitch has got the corner market in that. I mean, there's writing exercises. I see people doing like writing sprints and stuff on Twitch all the time. I think it's the perfect place for that. But I also think that Discord has a little bit on the writing aspect of it too, in that respect. So while I love Twitch and the community, and I would love to be a part of that and do that, and someday we will. And there's certain things we're doing that we're preparing for in this season of our fall season that we're going to be doing with Twitch, because I've always wanted to be a part of that community and do that. I have actually am kind of thinking about putting my energy more toward Discord. So that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Fight.
No fight. Hey,
Nah, it's all
like
good.
I said, if it works
No,
for
no,
you,
no.
it works for you.
No,
You know?
absolutely.
I'm there.
I
I've been on Josh's show. I've been commenting on Twitch with him on those shows. So
yeah,
I utilize
it's
it.
not for, again, it's for me. I never, like, from the direct benefits of Twitch, so like a lot of other communities, I've never gotten those. But what I have gotten from that is, this was an odd thing. When I started regularly doing Twitch, my numbers on my audio show jumped significantly. So I looked at it, like, I think this might just come down to me just being very dedicated to one content. Even if you don't get the results you're looking for, you end up getting results and things you never expected. Like, I've had 2,000 download weeks, and I do think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I went on a platform and I was dedicated to it.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's great to kind of tailor these things and to see, because, like, not everyone likes every single thing. Because I know, like, Joe and Anita both say you love Discord. I really don't like Discord, but I have to use it. This is a necessary evil for me, right? Because I'm on a lot of different, like, kind of committees and stuff that use Discord, and also my D&D group use Discord for thing. So I have to use it, but it's just so much information, and I'm like, I just like
That's one thing I think Twitch does well, is it tailors the information.
Right, yeah. So it depends what fits for your personal things. But that's the good thing, is that there's so many different things out there that, as you were saying before, Joe, about necessary evils. Like, you don't have to be chained to a certain platform anymore. Like, you don't have to just be. Facebook is the be all and end all, or Twitter is. It's like, there's so many different things that you can go and explore and get to work for you, which is great. Okay. There are some great fan communities on YouTube as well. Raging Raccoon community. Wow, that's some name. I like it. Nice. Raging is the sequel to Raging Bull. Still starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, isn't it, as well? Of course. Okay, so Joe, last topic. Take us away.
Sure. My last topic is, let's look to the future. I really believe in setting goals and setting mindsets of goals. And I think the one thing that I've learned over time is that setting a goal doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be concreted to that goal, right? You can adapt and adjust it as you go along, but it at least sets up something that you're aiming for and you're trying to. I believe in short-term goals, but I also believe in long-term goals. But I also believe that long-term goals are a little bit more looser than short-term goals. I think short-term goals you should concentrate on more than long-term goals, because you're going to get the result immediately. Everybody's these days is looking for instant gratification and instant results. Well, short-term goals help you get there a lot faster, I think, than putting out a long-term goal. But I do believe in both, and I think that setting goals is a super, super important element of what we do and how we do it. And I'll give you a great example of that. So when Maddie came aboard Going Now, and we talked about what the future looks like, and what I've been telling, and Vanessa as well, and I believe David, I even had this conversation with you at one point, and I might have even had this conversation with Josh. But the idea for me was, in 5 years from that moment, that I was telling everybody that I would be, of 1,000 subscribers, and that we would, be monetized. And here we are, year 3.5. I got to the 1,000 subscriber goal before the 5-year mark. We're still not fully monetized, but Facebook recognized our efforts and gave us a little bit more of an opportunity there. That's why you see the star thing every day on our show, and those things. And they reached out to me. And so I think what happens with setting goals too is you set things in motion, very much to what Josh was saying at the beginning. When you set it in motion, when you push it forward, you start to build a momentum that carries itself, and things start to happen, and things become in existence because you're setting yourself in that emotion and you're doing that. So I think that along with forgiving yourself, part of the idea is you can set a goal and go forward with that goal. And yet, if you don't reach it within the time period you've set it, that's fine. Stretch out the goal a little bit, adjust, look back and look at what is it you did that got you closer to the goal. What is it that you did that got you further away from the goal, and then adjust and make the goal further. So I think along those lines, you really setting yourself up to be successful if you set a goal and a mindset, and I think it just rolls through that way.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because as an autistic person, I am very, very preoccupied with the future and also the past. And I tend not to exist in the present very much. It's like, so what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And that's like generally what I kind of think about. So like in terms of setting very, very short-term goals and then kind of letting the long term be some kind of more shifting, comforting thing other than this like hard thing that you have to do is like something that I aspire to. So this is what I'd like to do with my thing. But
I do a to-do list every single day, and my goal is to always knock one thing off of that list, and I will carry over the other things that I don't get accomplished into the next list and move them higher up into the priority. But I usually, when I set a goal to just do one, I usually discover that I've done 4 or 5, and it becomes habitual in that respect. So
yeah.
So I'm actually really torn on this one. I'm a little torn on this one because here's the thing. The vision does change as you do stuff. This is, I think ultimately this is the real issue is I had this big dream that I would become this towering, like Robert Jordan-esque fantasy author way back when I started my career. That was when I started. That has not happened. But I don't regret anything I've done on it because I've done some crazy shit. Like this be fun. I've had a wild ride. But I think so this is what I always tell people. We all do what we want to do at the end of the day. So the question is this. Is it because it was just where the path went naturally? Or is it because we were afraid of what we were originally shooting for? If it's the first one, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like the vision changes as you go down the path, things just kind of adjust. But I think when we let our fears get in the way of our wants, right, that's when it can get very tricky. It is still possible to hit those long-term goals, right? But do we want to do the step required? And is it because, well, no, I found something I love more. I'm enjoying the path I'm on. That's fine. But is it, I'm scared to make that change? Well, then why are you scared to make that change? So that's kind of where I'm kind of torn because I think it comes down to what you want at the end of the day. And I think you have to be true to that. If you are true to that, I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's when you're afraid of it, that's when it gets tricky.
This is the stuff of nightmares for me. What you're both talking about right now.
Yeah,
you're going to give me nightmares
because there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. Like we all like going down to like okay, again, that's not my goal necessarily anymore, and that's hilarious considering the opportunities that fall in my lap the last few weeks. But right, life does have a certain sense of humor sometimes. We'll just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. But that all said, right, I don't think it's a crime to change your mind. I don't think it's a crime to change your goals, right? I don't think it's a crime at all. I think it's probably healthy. Like more often than not, it's actually healthy to change the ship from time to time.
That's why I believe in short term more than long term.
Yeah. Oh, no, I totally get that. I think the only thing I would push back is why the change, right? Why I think the why, you got to be very honest with yourself, because if the why is right, right,
which is what I said. I
think
said if you didn't reach it, you have to examine why it didn't happen. But
yeah,
I think that you can change it.
I think from a time standpoint, like I'm not as worried about that. Like, let's say you don't accomplish, let's say you're still on the journey, it takes you a year longer than you expected. Okay, cool. Sometimes we overshoot, like how quickly things go sometimes, right? But I just think like it's like anything else, like it's that honesty of looking at yourself in the mirror. Is this what I want? And ultimately, we all got to own that on some level.
Yeah. And Nikki chimes in with some words of wisdom right there at the end as well. Yeah, I mean, with my way, I mean, because of my like kind of fear of future, basically. What I try and always do is break the biggest thing into the smallest thing possible, and that's fine if there's like 100 of these little things. That there are a lot more. There's more. It seems like there's more of them, but the smaller. So it's like, okay, I can do these little things, and you did little things, and it kind of makes the whole goes away, basically. But I don't know if it works or not. But that's what I do with my things. Vanessa, hi Vanessa, thanks for coming in. It was a great word at DranCon last weekend. I borrowed confidence, courage from my future self. Excellent stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, please, everyone who's listening, and thank you everyone who's been listening and watching, let us know what you thought of the whole show so far as we're coming towards the end. Again, we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight, as the first one of the season. So this is a little taste of what the winners of the show of this future season can get, as well as an interview later on.
Some people like predictability in plot, in dialogue, even in publication schedules. And that's fine if that works for you. But if you'd rather be surprised by plots, by dialogue, by location, by genres, and by what will come next from a Puerto Rican multi-genre author that has every intention of discovering how many soul wells are within him, then you need to read Mr. J.D. Estrada. Estrada doesn't know how to bunt and won't settle for a single. If the fence is there, he's here to hit beyond it.
You can delve into the Human Cycle series, where you can discover just how much we've been lied to as humans. In this take on the hero's journey, to find out how much one person is willing to sacrifice their humanity to save humanity. With angels and demons and vampires that don't sparkle, this series is designed to challenge everything you think you know about the world and our history.
Want something lighter instead? Then step into the world of Dream with each short story of the first 2 volumes of the Daydreams on the Sherbert Shore.
Or go on a full-on adventure with Given to Fly.
If poetry's your jam, then pick your poison. From positive poetry to wicked nursery rhymes and plenty in between, Estrada looks at every collection as an album and curates each carefully for your poetic enjoyment. And he has 8 of them out.
In addition, there are bilingual collections, Spanish horror stories, and non-fiction books to show that no matter the genre, an author who is true to their vision is true to their voice and their readers. So come along, take your pick from 21 titles. Though be warned, there are more on the way, and your bookshelf won't even know what hit it. Peace, love, and happy reading.
All right. So that is great work. It's great trailers. And Vanessa's really enjoying it. So this week's winner. So because we're all about positivity this week, and it's the start of and the winner is Wait.
Woo! All right.
So
Sorry,
I mean,
I'm not used to being on and doing this together, so sorry.
multitasking. Yeah, usually we go through the topics and I'd pick one from each one, and we'd see who is the overall winner. However, this week I'm going to choose all of them as the winner because they've all been so good. We want to start off the new season with this air of positivity and things that we enjoy. And honestly, it makes it a lot easier for me as well, so I don't actually have to say which one I prefer out of all of them because they're all great. And I actually do agree with every single one.
Don't worry, I wouldn't fire you if you chose Josh. It's okay.
So, congratulations to both of you. You've made green room history by both winning at the same time. So, what's going to happen is next week, next Monday, I think it is. We are Monday for you guys. We're going to come back, and we usually the winner will be interviewed by me for around an hour. Then the runner-up will be interviewed by Nikki DeKeuster for half an hour. But what we might do is actually just get everyone in there like a little panel, and we'll just spitball for a while and just get it all out there, what we've been talking about. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
That sounds great. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. I know, Joe, you had no choice. You were going to be producing anyway. Thanks for coming on this side of the screen.
Thanks,
and Josh, thanks so much for coming on and persevering with the technical difficulties.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
Like a technological warrior. You fought through it, and you got
Actually,
there.
can I end with a fun story?
Yeah.
So I had Marissa Mayer come on my show. There's actually a YouTube video right now because I had all kinds of technical difficulties. She was really gracious about it. It was from my end completely. There's literally a video on my YouTube channel right now of me, Marissa Mayer, my doppelganger. One time I came back on, there was a frozen image of myself at the same time. It was just like, what the hell's going on? So doing this kind of thing, you just get used to it. So sorry everybody. I hope next time it won't be quite the same thing. So, but thanks for listening to me talk Babylon.
That'll be great. And thank you. It's been really, really enjoyable. Thanks for everyone for watching on this first episode back in the green room. We'll be back next week because it's always time to go indie now.